Hello everybody, and welcome to Amateur Task, where I get into you and your replays to be casted for my entertainment, and hopefully to help you improve a little bit as well. I'm your host, ZookaMan, and we're going to be going into TVZ. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our players. In the top left-hand side of the map, Frost, we have TheMagicT, spawning in as the blue Terran player, and his opponent on the bottom left-hand side, we have Whoa Banana as the green, or not, that's not green, that's red. Red. Apparently I'm colorblind. And I see red as green. Anyways. Happy fun times. So we're going to be seeing a TVZ matchup, and what is going on in the TVZ matchup right now? Well, the matchup in general is very susceptible to, on the Zerg side of things, early Banglings, Zerglings. I have seen a lot of Bangling busts that have gone in and been able to do a little bit of damage in mid-game. It's just a very popular strategy. I know that Roaches are a very popular follow-up to that if you're looking to be more aggressive. However, if you're looking to be a little bit more macro-oriented, a third base is definitely a good thing to drop down behind that. From the Terran side of things, I'm not seeing I'm not personally seeing too much non-bio. I haven't really casted a lot of mech games recently, so I'm going to probably just err on the side of caution and say we're probably going to be seeing bio play out of him. Both players aren't going to be going for an early expansion. However, Well, Banana can be grabbing down his gas, which makes me think he's going to drop down his spawning pool very shortly, and that is probably going to be a few Zerglings out, just a little bit punish the command center first from his opponent. I mean, the barracks is already up on its way, but a few Zerglings might be able to get off and do a little bit of damage, depending on what we see our Terran player follow up. The Terran player is up on gas here, is going to be a little bit delayed on his orbital command. Would love to see that come down fairly shortly here, as the longer that he delays that, the less time he has for muling capabilities. Back home, Whoa Banana's expansion is just now finishing up. They're both pretty much going to finish up at the same time. However, the command center is going to be finishing up on the high ground, which means that it's going to take a few seconds for it to really start saturating down on the low ground. We are going to be seeing a Marine coming out of the barracks from our Terran player instead of a Reaper, so we're not going to be seeing him go for an early scout, which is a little bit curious, considering that he is going to be going for that CC first. I mean, he does have his SCV out across the map, so I guess that's not quite a big deal. But I personally like to see the Reaper first, just so that you're able to get additional scouting, especially into that main base, in case your opponent was going early, like early non-speedlings or something like that, so that you're able to continue getting the scout off either way. Just a little bit of a tidbit there. We do see the factory, very standard in the matchup. Probably going to be seeing him do the factory switch with the barracks and then start producing Hellions right away. Kind of curious to see if he's wanting to do that aggressively or if he's wanting to do that offensively. We aren't be seeing the Zerg player doing anything really too terribly economic. He did go for that natural expansion a little bit early, but now he's going to be droning it up safely, going to be getting units out, and he's going to be going for a insanely quick third base. And that makes me think that probably we're going to be seeing, my best guess is either we're going to be seeing a Bangling Nest drop down or a Roach Warren drop down. In fact, we're going to be seeing a Roach Warren drop down, but either the Bangling Nest or the Roach Warren drop down, and a little bit of a mid-game pressure here onto a third base to try to get your opponent a little bit behind you, but it looks like we're just going to be seeing the Roach laying. Personally, I wouldn't be too against him dropping down a Bangling Nest, just to kind of make sure that this is able to do damage, but it's not like with a large number of Roaches he won't be able to do damage. You just need to be careful about the Hellions. That being said, the Hellions not really going to be able to do a whole lot against the Roaches, so probably would be a good idea to grab a more heavy Roach composition if he's wanting to go in for a mid-game push here. Back home, we do have that stim starting up from our Terran player, and we do have an additional CC, probably for third base coming up, which is a little bit early, but something I say to all players is if you have a lot of minerals, you might as well put down the command center, because if you don't use it for third base, you can always use it for scans or mules. That's just kind of the way that it is. So we're going to be seeing TheMagicT finishing up his wall off. We are seeing the Baleen nest drop down back home. We do have a couple of Hellions moving out across the map, but as those roaches hit the field, they're really not going to be able to do a whole lot. Even going to be putting up a couple of evolution chambers just to make sure that no run-bys are going to be going on here. The Hellions are going to be getting a few shots off onto the Zerglings over here. However, they aren't going to be really able to get a whole lot with the roaches going out across the map. And I think that he is going to be able to scout that with one Hellion. So pretty good job on the control there of the Hellion. He's going to see, oh, my opponent's got a lot of units coming out across the map towards me. And that's a lot of roaches. And he's going to be able to react accordingly by putting out some Marauders. However, I think the wall off he has right now should be enough in order to hold off against the Banelings. But hey, if he can get a few killed here with the Hellions, more power to him. Actually, quite a few are going to be going down to those Hellions, so pretty nice control there. Not going to be getting all of them down, however. Is going to be losing one Hellion over here, but the Zerg player are going straight for the wall off, and the Banelings are going to be most part trapped behind, but we are seeing a few go off onto the SCV line. SCVs have been pulled to help defend against this. The Zerg player at the very least is going to get quite a few SCV kills, if not do some serious economic damage going into the mid to late game. Especially now that he's laying down a layer back home, and I wouldn't be opposed to seeing him take a third base as well, as essentially right now he is going to be canceling the Heron player's third base. The natural expansion, excuse me. Back home, we do see the TheMagicT going up onto a couple of additional bunkers, just in case we're going to be seeing a large number of Banelings moving out for a pretty much all-in bust at that point, which is not a bad idea. He does have Sea Shanks on the way as well to help defend against this, but there should be enough here to be able to defend. With the Sea Shank being sieged up, he should be perfectly fine against these roaches, because the roaches are going to be taking a lot of AoE from the tank, and there are a few SCVs here going to be pulled to help defend against this as well, but it will be defended against. However, the Zerg player is going to be going up onto layer tech, which means that we could be seeing Mutalisk coming out on the field. Still would love to see a third base coming out from him. It is extremely late at this point, which is a little bit curious. Might be looking to see an additional mid-game push coming out across the map, because that's the only thing I can really understand here, because the third base needs to come up soon, otherwise he's not going to be able to stay on the economy footing that he needs to be, because you can see that he already has quite a bit of gas deficit compared to his minerals, and once he takes the third base, that's going to be a little bit better. Centrifugal hooks can be added on as well at this point, which means that we are going to be seeing an additional, well, at least we're going to be seeing Banelings added on more, which they're not really going to be able to get a whole lot done during this wall, but they might be able to snipe the natural expansion or force it to lift off once again or something like that. Or we could also see the Zerg player drop down to that third base, start drawing up, being a little bit more defensive in the matchup. And why shouldn't he? He's in a pretty decent position here. He's on 2-base economy, a little bit low on the drone count in his natural expansion, but not too big of a deal. Could use to grab his fourth geyser, as well as he is once again having that deficit of gas, but he's getting a little bit better at spending that, probably with the addition of that third base, as well as quite a large number of Zerglings moving out across the map. Centrifugal hooks are going to be up at this point. No upgrades yet from our Zerg player at all, actually, and actually no upgrades at all in the game, so that's kind of weird. Wouldn't be opposed to it since he has the evolution chambers. Okay, well, duh, he was researching them. Oh, look at the production tab, ZookaMan. Well, we wouldn't be opposed to seeing the Terran player drop down his own 1-1 here, especially as the Zerg player is going up onto his 1-1, and you definitely don't want to have your opponent have the advantage in terms of upgrades. It is just not a good position to be in any situation. Very, very heavy marine, excuse me, very, very heavy marine composition coming up for a Terran player at this point. As I awkwardly take a breath there for a quick gulp of water. So here the Terran player are moving out with a large number of Marines as well as tanks at this point, which is a little bit interesting to see, to say the least, against such a large number of Banelings. However, they are going to be pretty good against the Spire that's coming down with the Mutalisks. Not really a whole lot of in terms of the siege tank. There's only a couple here. Large number of Marines. Definitely could use to have a couple more siege tanks to kind of round out his army. Definitely needs to be able to split here. That's going to be the big thing here with a large Baneling composition of his opponent against so many Marines. And Banelings and ZookaMan's army are running away for their lives. One is going to die right there, making it splatter on the ground. Back home, the third base is up and starting to be saturated from Banana. And he is going to be moving out across the map to probably intercept the Terran army that is essentially just Marines at this point. So Terran player is going to be engaging over here. We're going to be seeing him take the watchtower. However, there's a lot of Banelings in here, and the splits are going to be coming off. Oh! Splits going to be coming off, however, there just are not enough Marines here to be able to do a whole lot of damage. There's going to be a drop coming up in the natural expansion. Quite a few drones are going to get killed in this. Actually, that's going to pretty much be, at the very least, all the gas production going to be halted. If not, quite a few of those drones killed. Quite a lot of workers killed. 47 in favor of our Zerg player, but only just because of that mid-game push. We do have 39 to 34 harvesters in favor of our Terran player at this point. Zerg player definitely a little bit falling behind in that regard. Would love to see him take his fourth base and start kind of getting ahead, because you always want to be ahead economically ahead of your opponent, but Zerg is even more so, because you want to be able to overwhelm your opponent. If your opponent has more units than you and is able to produce more, then that's not really quite as easy. Terran player is going to be going up onto medevac production here. Has quite a heavy Marine composition. Wouldn't be opposed to seeing a couple Marauders added in here just for an extra little bit of tank. Definitely would love to see more than a couple of tanks. There are only 2 on the map right now. I would definitely say probably 3 or 4 would be the minimum with the number of Banelings that are out on the field. That being said, we do have Mulus production being started now. They are going to be able to not really do a whole lot of damage. We do have missile turrets pretty much everywhere to be able to defend against them. However, they are going to be able to spot and kill a drop, and is going to try to boost away. Not really quite as good as you want it to be. We do see an additional factory added on from our Terran player is finally going to be going up onto +1/+1. However, our Zerg player is going to be going up on that +2 melee attack, which means that he's going to be in a little bit of a better position here. Moving out across the map to do a little bit of damage. Now, MagicT really does need to A, split his Marines, B, protect his siege tanks. Those are going to be the 2 biggest things that he's going to have to worry about in engagements here in the future. Because those siege tanks are going to be able to take out a lot of the Banelings, and what Banelings don't get taken out by the siege tanks definitely need to be controlled efficiently by the splitting. Those are the 2 big things to be able to kind of stick up with his army, because there's a lot of Marines here. Small force of Marines are going to be forcing the Mutalisks back. However, we're going to be seeing Banana move in with the forces that he has left into that natural expansion. There are a lot of Zerglings here. A lot of Banelings going to be popping off on the Zerglings. One siege tank is going to go down, and that's really going to turn the tide of the battle, guys. We're going to be losing a lot of units here. However, one thing to note is that we aren't going to be losing all of them. There's still going to be units, and all those SCVs are going to be completely massacred. So Zerglings are going to be able to get up onto the Marines, and that is where the upgrade advantage will definitely be in their favor. 2-1 going to be ripping away at that 1 armor of the opponent. Back home, I'd still love to see a 4th base coming out from our Zerg player, and that is exactly what he's going to be doing. He's going to be going on to +1 flyer attack, as well as that +2 carapace, just to keep up with his units here. Definitely going to be going to have to rely a little bit on the Baneling composition, however, which is going to be kind of the bread and butter of this army, especially as we see AoE going to be added into this army. Widow Mines are going to be the choice unit. He's going to stop the medevac, or the siege tank production for the Widow Mines, which I like and I don't like with the fact that really widow lines are so short range that by the time the banglings get out onto their widow lines, most of the time, unless you're doing something like a bait and switch, most of the time that the banglings will get up onto the widow mines, they're gonna be too late. Widow mines are gonna be able to plant down, are gonna be getting a few good shots off actually, and going to be whittling down the bangling force. However, there are quite a lot still left. Needs to focus on splitting his army up. That's going to be the big key, and I sort of sound like a broken record at this point, guys. We do have 2-2 coming up from our Terran player at this point. Is going to be also going up onto Drilling Claws, because there's no reason not to have Drilling Claws when you have the Widow Mines. Terran army is going to be going off into this base. Is not really going to be able to do a whole lot. A couple of Widow Mine shots are going to force a few more units down than normal. However, the rest of the units that we see from Banana should be able to take care of the Terran army. Terran army back home is a little bit sparse, doesn't really have a whole lot of production, and that's kind of odd because as Marines, you could pretty much just pump out Marines really efficiently with a couple of additional more barracks. With reactors, you can just keep pumping out Marines and keep that mineral count low. Also, be said there is a little bit. Oh, never mind. There's the medevac. I was going to say there's a little bit of deficit in the medevac production. Definitely going to keep up on that. Might want to see a couple more just because the Marines are going to be a little bit squishier. However, you can argue that because the Marines are a little bit squishier, they don't necessarily need to heal as much. Large banglings are going to be getting off onto the Terran army here. Are going to be taking a lot of it out there. And now the entire army of our Terran player is going to be going down. Doesn't really have a whole lot of stuff coming out here. He doesn't really have a whole lot of production facility. Only 9 Marines being able to be produced at a time, comparatively to his opponent's 40 up onto 4 bases. No Queen hasn't been established at this 4th base yet. It's still a little bit undersaturated. We do have a little bit of a drop. Not drop. That's a Widow Mine. Little run by. He's going to be getting a few drone kills there. Circ player is going to be gearing up to move out here. Is going to be relying on a very, very heavily bangling composition here, which is to a certain point standing out for him. Still would like to see the TheMagicT going up onto Marauders. Failing that, I definitely think that a few siege shanks added into this army would be able to help against the banglings a lot more than the addition of the Widow Mines. And Banana going to be GGing out there, as he really doesn't have a whole lot of units, I think? I'm not sure. 4th base is established. Yeah, he's 4th base. I'm not exactly sure why. I suppose it could be said that he didn't really have much of a follow-up there to that push, and he didn't really have the units. However, a couple of banglings being warped in at the right time could pretty much take out the Marines. So I'm not entirely sure exactly why that was. So looking at the game, what can we learn from it, folks? Well, one from Banana's side of the field was a little bit low in his harvester count. Actually, both players are going to be really low in the harvester count. 49 to 41. Usually you want that around the 75 to 80 range. Usually, as a Terran player, that can be dropped down to 70 with mules. But you definitely want to keep it in the no lower than that, because once you do that, you don't really have the production to keep up with your army and your units and your upgrades and everything else that you have to keep up with in order to stay in the game. So both players are a little bit low on that. I think that's something that could have really contributed to the fact of Banana being pretty much losing there. Another point will be made is that his opponent was splitting really well with the banglings. However, he kept on the bangling production and he didn't really transition into anything else. Against a biotank army and a marine army in general, a marine tank army, and I guess it's more marine mine at that point. Anyways, against this composition of the Terran player, Ultralisks are a very good addition because the Widowlands are not able to do quite as much damage to the Ultralisks, as well as the fact that the Ultralisks are just able to rip through Marines very efficiently because of the fact that they are able to attack twice, and that's pretty much the entirety of a Marine's health with the 2 swipes. Usually, that's what it's at. So I definitely would like to see him transition into that, even to a certain extent, maybe even Infestors. Infestors are pretty good against Marines because a lot of Marines being fungal growth together and then the Bings rolling in, it's a beautiful combo that doesn't really get used a whole lot anymore because of the Infestors being changed a little bit when Heart of the Swarm came out. From the Terran side of things, I like how he kept on to the composition that he was. Definitely with the heavy Baneling count, I definitely wouldn't be opposed to seeing Marauders added into each army, as well as the big thing I think that could help the play and help it a little bit better is the Siege Tanks over Widow Mines, because Siege Tanks do have a longer range, and they might not, and they fire faster. They get worse shots off, so they're able to tear apart the Banelings before they get to your army, and at the very least, they take out 5 to 10 of the 20 Banelings, and then suddenly you're able to split and take care of them even more efficiently. Now, both players did spend pretty well, but Terran player definitely needs to take a look at his gas. That's pretty much all I'm going to be saying on that fact, because I kind of have been rambling on a little bit after the game here, but I believe that's all, folks. If you're interested in taking a look at my upcoming tournament on the 28th of June, I do have a video up on my channel. Go over there and check it out. It is a tournament of any sorts. All you have to do is sign up, and we'll get you in there. Go take a look at that video, and then it'll tell you how you do that. Besides that, as always, if you enjoyed the cast, please like, comment, subscribe, share, and all that jazz. So I believe that's it, folks. If you have any more questions, concerns, comments, or anything else you'd like to know, either send it to my comment below or contact me in any of the other ways that you can. So I believe that's going to be it for now, folks. This has been ZookaMan, and we'll see you on the next cast.